In 1992, you may remember that as President of Ireland, I went to Somalia because there were fighting warlords stopping the food getting to the feeding stations. The aid agencies concerned, Trócaire, Goal, begged me to go, and I got the leave of the Irish government, which I needed, and went to the United Nations to the then Secretary General, Boutros Ghali, and we, I think, made some impact on that very difficult situation. And very shortly afterwards, I was invited to come to Washington to receive an award from CARE USA, a very big organisation which some of you may be familiar with. And there were two of us receiving that award in 1992, and I knew nothing about the other recipient, I have to say. So as I was standing beside him, I turned to him and I said, sort of more or less, who are you and what do you do? And he said to me, oh, I'm just a banker who broke the rules. And I looked at him and he said, yes, I'm just a banker who broke the rules. And then he explained to me that he had been educated largely in the United States, had quite a distinguished academic and other career, and had gone back to his native Bangladesh and started lending to the poorest women, lending small amounts and learning that the poorest women were very good creditors, that they actually paid back, and created something called the Grameen Bank, which was a huge innovation in its day. And I remember Bill Clinton was very taken with the Grameen Bank and decided he wanted it in Arkansas. And there were various other people who were hugely interested in it. And the Grameen Bank grew. Not only did women borrow from the Grameen Bank, but because Professor Muhammad Yunus was very determined to empower women, women became board members and became part of the structure and decision-making of this very successful and growing Grameen Bank. Unfortunately, it hasn't been an entirely smooth path because for various reasons the current Prime Minister and government of Bangladesh have not been helpful, and Professor Yunus has had quite a lot of pain in that regard, and we've worked closely together on that. But instead of sort of feeling, well, things aren't very easy, but maybe I'll take it easier. No, Professor Yunus has taken another challenge, and it is an enormously successful challenge, and that is to develop a whole new way of doing business, social business, which I hope he will talk about in part today. I travelled down from Dublin with Professor Yunus and his colleague Lamia Morshed, who is the chief executive of the Yunus Foundation. And I began to ask them halfway through our journey about social business worldwide. I can tell you, I just was taken aback. And I accused Muhammad Yunus of empire building. I mean, there's not only a summit, there's also regional summits, there are universities that have taken it over, there are centres, there are young people. You couldn't believe just how this has taken on. And he has been honoured for the work he is doing. He has been, of course, a recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. He also, and we were together on this, we received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Obama, but he then received the Congressional Medal of Freedom, and not many people have received those three, or certainly even the two from the United States, their two highest honours, and many other honours. But he's not somebody who wears those honours in a very visible way. He's a very modest, unassuming, incredibly likeable person who's become a very dear friend over the years. And when I asked him if, on the basis that he was coming, as I was doing, to the One Young World, he might come to the west of Ireland, his answer was wonderful. He said, I would love to see Ireland. So Peter, you're right. This is his first time seeing Ireland, being in Ireland with the real Irish people. And Yunus, it's an enormous pleasure now to invite you to give the first International Human Rights Lecture of the Mary Robinson Centre. You're going to set the standard, set the bar. Nobody could do it better. Please.
Thank you, Mary. Don't expect too much. You put the bar too high for me. I'm very delighted that finally I came to Ireland. So I'm right here. I'm very happy. The ride from Dublin to Ballina has been wonderful to write and talking to you about everything. And I've known Mary for a long, long time now. You already mentioned how long it is, 1992. So a lot of years gone by. And I see you in so many different places, speaking and engaging with people on issues that are dear to you. And I see how the world looks up to you as an icon of the world. And particularly young people look at you, women look at you, and everybody who's trying to protect this planet from the disaster look at you. And I was wondering how Ballina looks at you. Because as a popular thing goes, prophets are not honored at home. So today I see you are different. You are equally honored at your home, with your people around you, your family around you. I'm talking about Mary Robinson Center. And that's something this place will be proud of, not because this is a presidential library. There are lots of presidents around the world, lots of presidential libraries. They are part of a history which is forgotten very soon. And if it's not just because you're president of Ireland, even if the president of China had its presidential library, the rest of the world will not worry about it. But this place, the presidential library and Mary Robinson Center will become a very important thing. Probably it will become a tourist attraction for future because the world will remember you whenever you go around the world, contributions that you have made to the world. So that way is a very important initiative that you have taken here, is for inspiring the rest of the world. What can be done for a person who came out of this place and conquered the hearts and minds of the people around the world. And I'm very happy to participate in this particular occasion, to be here on this day, on the day of eradication of poverty, and coinciding with the launching of the Mary Robinson Center. I'll just narrate my story. It's not something you'll expect as a kind of inaugural lecture or something like that. It's not a formal thing. It's a very informal chatting about how things have happened with me. And I'll just share it with you. It's something you may sometimes feel is so simple, so easy. But that's what I struggled with. And I try to point out how it appeared to me. Many, as we are having lunch and we're meeting people, mentioned that they're familiar with microfinance, microcredit. And it makes me feel happy that something we did back in Bangladesh, some 38 years back, created ripples, came all the way to here to see that that word became familiar and that action inspired you. But the way it happened is something I never planned. I never kind of sat down and designed something to do. It was an action of a desperate person. When you are desperate, you do something which you never thought of before. So that's what I did as a desperate action. And as we are traveling together today, we are talking about the Irish famine and what a terrible thing it was. And my work also came from a famine. Bangladesh became an independent country, fighting with the Pakistan liberation war in 1971, and we became separated from Pakistan, called ourselves Bangladesh. And I was supporting it while I was in the States at that time, teaching in a university there. I fully joined that liberation movement. When finally Bangladesh became independent, I quit my job right away. I said, I'm going home. And I went back. It was a devastated country because of the war that took place. And still we are full of excitement that finally we'll take control of our own fate. We'll create a country of our own choice. We do things which we wanted to do. in all liberation wars, I think things like that happen. You raise the expectation of the people and all the euphoria of the new independence. But soon that euphoria turns into nightmare. And the same thing happened in our case. Our economy collapsed completely. And by 1974, we had famine, people dying of hunger everywhere. Here I was coming from the United States with a brand new PhD and full of enthusiasm and trying to teach economics in the classroom. And I was teaching economics. And I felt completely my whole enthusiasm collapsed, seeing people dying right outside the classroom. And I felt all those elegant theories of economics kind of fairy tales. It doesn't exist in real people's life. So you cook up some stories, you call it economic theory. This has nothing to do with the people who live around you. And sense of uselessness grips you. You are a completely, totally useless person. You cannot be of any help to anybody in a situation like that. So after having that feeling, very strong feeling, I tried to revive myself by saying, okay, forget about economics. It doesn't work for anybody. But I'm still a human being. I can be a human being and stand next to another human being and see if I can do something for him or for her. At least I can do something for one person. So that's what became my kind of mission, to make myself useful to another human being in a situation like that. Luckily, the university that I was teaching is right next to a village. So it's not a city-centered university campus. It's created right in the middle of villages. So it's very easy for me to walk out of the boundary of the university and be in the village. It's right there. So that's what I did. Every day I go around, meet people, talk to people, to see this, what can I do for today, to see my help association has helped somebody. So I did a lot of those small things, and I felt a little better that I feel at least I'm some use to somebody. Then as I go every day in the village, I see a lot of things which I never knew before. Here is a beautiful university. Here's a century-old village right next door. But they don't communicate with each other. They don't know each other at all. And I was amazed that none of these things that I learn now have ever taught me anywhere in the classroom or in the textbooks. One thing kind of haunted me. There's the loan sharking in the village, giving tiny little loans to people and totally grab everything that other person has. And the conditions imposed of those loans are so ridiculous that you wouldn't believe that a human being can be so heartless, so cruel to another human being. So I see it every day. I hear about the story every day. I meet those people every day. And I become very furious how people can do such a thing. And I couldn't do anything. I felt so helpless in the face of all this thing happening around me. Suddenly it came to my mind, I can do something, not for the whole world, because this is a problem of the whole world, but I can do something for a few people in this village. And the idea was, why don't I lend the money myself? If I lend the money myself, people can come to me. They don't have to go to loan shark. So they will be free from the loan sharks. And immediately I acted on it. I took money from my pocket and started lending money in the village. Everybody loved it. Everybody wanted to borrow from me. And I was very happy. I was happy that they wanted to borrow from me. They don't have to go to the loan shark. And everyone comes, I feel I have liberated that person. He will not be under the torture that I felt so terrible about. But as days go by, it becomes more and more popular, more and more people come, and what happens to my money? I exhausted all my money. So I go to the bank, which is located right next door in the campus. I tell them, why don't you lend money? I'm doing that in this village. He said, no, you do whatever you want to do. Bank cannot do that. I became very angry with them. I started arguing against what they do. But they smiled. They think this guy doesn't understand banking at all. So he keeps talking about it. I said, no, you should be lending money to them. He said, no, bank doesn't lend money to them. So I started accusing them, saying nasty things about them. Very, very nasty things all the time. And I accused them by saying not only you don't lend money to people in the village here, you don't lend money to poor people anywhere. And you don't lend money to women. And I kept saying that you look at all the borrowers of all the banks in Bangladesh, not even 1% of your borrowers happen to be women. So you're totally gender biased, ignoring all the women. They laugh at me because they think that I have no idea about what banking is. Then I accused them. I said, banking was created to lend money to people, but you turn it around completely. You do very funny things. You lend money to people who already have lots of money, and you don't lend money to people who don't have money. You should be doing the other way. You should be lending money to people who don't have money. Again, it doesn't make sense to them. But it really made enormous sense to me that that's what the banking should be. But I needed the money to lend money to people who were waiting for money. I wanted to protect them from the loan sharks. So it went on for months negotiating with the banks. They would not agree to my proposal. Finally, I said, why didn't you accept me as a guarantor? I hear that there is a provision in your banking, then somebody who becomes a guarantor, you accept him, then you can lend money to somebody else. They waited. They wanted to understand what I'm talking about. But finally, after months, they agreed to that. I become the guarantor because I was becoming a nuisance for them because I'm always talking against the banking everywhere. So they thought this thing will not work anyway, so I'm the guarantor. It fails, I have to pay, then I'll keep my mouth shut. So they agreed to that. And I was very happy that finally I opened the door for the bank and started lending money. And it worked beautifully. I had no problem. People were paying back every penny. And I was hoping that it will grow, people are coming, but the bank became very reluctant to expand it because they thought it will collapse anyway, so why risk all the money? I became very upset because people wanted it, they are paying back, but they don't want to do it. Then I thought of creating a separate bank for the poor people. That was again a strange idea for government because I needed the government permission. After several years of trying, finally I convinced the government to allow me to set up a bank for the poor people. So we started in 1976. We became a formal bank in 1983. Called it Grameen Bank or Village Bank. And now that we have a bank, we started expanding very, very quickly. And the rest is just expansion after expansion. Today we have 8.5 million borrowers in that bank. When I started, my first loan was total of $27, given to 42 people. So you can imagine what this money that we are talking about. Today, after all these years, we work all over Bangladesh. Every single village has Grameen Bank activity with 8.5 million borrowers. Mostly women, 97% are women. So it's a bank for the poor women, really. And it's owned by them. So we created a bank so that the borrowers become the owners of the bank. And it works absolutely clockwork-like. Repayment is near 100%. And people keep asking me, how did you design a bank so intricate way that it works so perfectly? And even people with long history, long tradition of banking cannot imagine you can create really a bank like that. And I tried to answer that question. I said, well, I didn't know anything about banking. I had no background in banking. And I think that was the best thing that happened to me. I didn't know anything about banking. Because if I knew about banking, then I have to think about following all those rules. Now that I didn't know anything about banking, I could do anything I want. So I said, I just keep on doing, and whenever I needed a rule or a procedure, I just look at the conventional banks, how they do it. Once I learn how they do it, I just go ahead and do the opposite. And it worked. And it's literally true, because they go to the rich people, I go to the poor people. They go to men, I go to women. They want to start their bank in the city center, or the business district, right at the heart of the business district. We always work at the remote village. Even today, after 38 years of our work, we still don't have a single branch in any city in Bangladesh. Always work in the village. Conventional banks need collateral. That's the basis of their banking. You have to have money, you have to have wealth before you can take a loan from a bank. Otherwise, bank will not give you any money. So the core of their business is tied to the idea of collateral. We dismissed it on the first day, said forget about collateral. If you're asking for collateral, poor people will never be able to come anywhere near the bank. I said collateral is the Berlin Wall, which separates the people from the bank. So we have to demolish that wall. We demolished it. So we created a banking without collateral. When you have no collateral, you don't need any legal papers, because now that you have no collateral, your legal papers is unnecessary. Once you don't have the legal papers, then you don't need lawyers. We are the only lawyer-free bank in the whole world. Completely, we don't have any lawyers at all. And it works. Repayment is near 100%. We have never felt anywhere. Bangladesh is a country of disasters, floods, cyclone, tidal wave, and all kinds of things. But you never hear that Grameen Bank had any problem with that. They continued with their work and so on. One of our first principles of bank was people should not come to the bank. Bank should go to people. So we follow that principle all the time. Today we have 8.5 million borrowers in 80,000 villages of Bangladesh. We have 25,000 staff of the bank who go around in all these villages every day to do the business at the doorstep of our borrowers. They don't have to come to our office. So it's a doorstep-based banking. And it works. Doesn't matter whether it's a monsoon rain or it's a very hot day, or it is a disaster or something. The whole of Grameen Bank works like a clock. People go, meet people, do their banking and come back. Carry enormous amount of cash with them. And never hear that anybody has taken away the bag full of money, because everybody knows how much money you are carrying through the roads of the village. You are the only one who is going there with a bag, and they know exactly what amount of money you have, because you do this we see you every Monday 8 o'clock in this road, because everything done exactly the same time. But it's an amazing thing that people have so much respect for it. Bangladesh is not a country of quite a good law and order. Anybody can stop you showing you a gun at a gunpoint, or showing you a knife and ask for the bag. But it doesn't happen. So it continues, and the conventional banks are owned by rich people. Ours is reverse. It's a bank owned by the poor people. And conventional banks are usually owned by men. Grameen Bank also owned by women. And since they are the owners of the bank, they sit in the board of the bank. They decide. It's the poor women from the villages, mostly illiterate. They are the board members deciding the policies of the bank, which is one of the largest banks in the country. We lend out over $1.5 billion each year. And now it's getting bigger and bigger. And we had no problem getting money back. And for this, we never take money from outside. We never take any money from a donor. We don't take any money from the government. No money from international organizations or anybody. Where does all this money come from? As a bank, we take deposits and take the deposit money and lend the money. This is what the banking is all about. So there's a plenty of deposit coming in, and we lend out to people. And now this year, there's something very remarkable happen, and we were not even expecting such a thing to happen. As I said, we give out $1.5 billion. This year, the total deposit of the borrowers, because the borrowers have to open savings account. This is part of the Grameen Bank rules. As you join Grameen Bank, first thing you do, open a bank account, savings account. And you put tiny, tiny money, whatever you can afford, into that bank account every week, so that no week is missed. And people do that. It became a very habit-forming thing. Everybody put some money in their bank account. And when millions of people put tiny little money, it becomes big money. This year, that money has outgrown $1.5 billion. It's now nearly about $2 billion in their own deposits, in own savings account. So when we refer to them as our borrowers, I kind of warned our staff in Grameen Bank by saying to look, be careful what word you're using, because they are no longer borrowers, they are your lenders, because they put more money to you than you gave it to them. So you are the net borrower, they are the net lender. So the relationship has changed. And that idea has spread in many, many countries now. As was explaining, that idea is spreading in Ireland. And we were debating in United States many times, because they were saying they tried microcredit in the United States, doesn't work. I said, well, you can try many more 1,000 times, still it doesn't work. That doesn't mean it's not useful in your situation. You simply didn't know how to do it. That's why it didn't work. So don't blame the system. You blame yourself because you didn't know how to do that. So since I keep repeating that, they get very irritated by that. They said, why don't you come and do it for us? Show us that it can be done, so that you don't have to go on explaining these things again and again the way you do. So I said, okay, you give me the money, I'll do that. So in 2008, we started a program called Grameen America. Started in New York City. The first branch was in Jackson Heights, New York, and did everything exactly like we do in Bangladesh, and it worked beautifully. Today, we have now 8 branches in New York City. We have more than 25,000 borrowers in New York City, 100% women. Average loan is $1,500 in New York City. And repayment rate is 99.4%. And many other cities became very interested. If you're doing it in New York, we need more than what you have in New York, because our situation is worse than New York. So we are invited to do it in Omaha, Nebraska. So we have a branch in Omaha. We have 2 branches in Los Angeles, 2 branches in Charlotte, North Carolina, 2 branches in San Francisco, 1 in Indianapolis, in Houston, in Boston, in other cities. So that, and everywhere the same story. Poor people, poor women join, 100% women. Repayment is near 100%. So it's not Bangladesh or a rich country or poor country. People need money, but the banking system doesn't work for them. So we have a banking system, I keep repeating to point out that Banks are designed to be an institution for the rich people. The richer you are, the more comfortable they feel to lend money. If you go down the scale, they get very nervous about it. At one point, they don't even talk to you. So that's where the banking system went wrong. We want to make sure that we create a bank which is inclusive banking system. And when you talk about the collapse of the banking system in 2008 financial crisis, it's a very strange thing that happened. In 2008 January, we began our Grameen program in New York City. But the later half, financial crisis came. So it's an amazing situation. In one side of the street, Grameen program is flourishing. On the other side of the street, huge banks collapsing. I said, I wish some journalists will ask me the question, tell me who is creditworthy? Because that's what they were telling me in the beginning. The banks don't lend money to the poor because they are not creditworthy. I said, I wish somebody will ask me that same question today. I'll show what's happening on both two sides of the street. So it's not creditworthiness or something. When people point out that poor people are not creditworthy, I always raise this question in a reverse way. I said, it's not what poor people are creditworthy or not. The real issue is whether banks are people worthy or not. Actually, they are not people worthy. That's why they miss out the whole people. So we need to redesign the system. And as a result, my conclusion I come to, I said, poverty is not created by the poor people. Poverty is created by the system. They built the system in a way that pushed the people in poverty. Today, we have only one type of economy, the capitalist economy. And the capitalist economy is based on chasing money. Everything in business, you have to maximize profit. And my feeling is, human beings are not money-making robots, but the system turns us into money-making robots. So we are so busy making money, we cannot see anything else. Our eyes are completely focused on that one goal. So money has become a habit. Money has become a passion for us, and it possesses us. So we cannot get out of it. So I said, human beings, whatever they are not one-dimensional people. They are multidimensional people. But the economic theory has put us into one dimension, in the role of making money. And they explain that this is the only way economy can flourish. I said, that's absolutely wrong. It's not true. They point out that money is the most important thing, is the incentive in the world. If you take away money, if you take away the profit incentive, the whole economy will collapse. And I point out, I said, I agree completely with you. Money is a great incentive for people. But I disagree that it is the incentive. There are many incentives in the world. I said, making money is a happiness. I agree with that. I have nothing problem with that. But at the same time, I point out making other people happy is a super happiness. So it's a kind of weighing between the happiness and the super happiness, which one you want. And in the process, you redesign the whole system. Because you are doing things not only for making money to make you happy, you're also doing things which will solve problems of the people. And I give examples what I have done over years. Besides microcredit, I look at the poor people, I see many other problems, and every time I try to address the problem like I did in the case of loan sharking, I created an alternative banking. And this one, when I see a problem, I create a business to solve it. So I created many such businesses. I give examples after examples. I said, these are businesses I created not for making money for myself. I created each business to solve problems. And I give examples. I said, look, the simple one which became big one, Bangladesh doesn't have electricity. 70% of the people of Bangladesh have no electricity, never seen electricity in their village. Bangladesh has 160 million people. So 60%, 70% is a lot of people. I said, well, we can do something about it. Why don't we bring renewable energy before the fossil fuel-based energy comes into the villages as a source of power? Today they have kerosene lamp, which is fossil fuel, but very small little light. And it feels so bad that you have to do everything with a little kerosene lamp. Your children have to study, do their homework under kerosene lamp. So one idea came, why don't we bring solar energy in the village? So I talked to the solar energy people in the country. They said, well, this is good, but this is not for Bangladesh. This is good for Europe, but not for Bangladesh. I said, what's wrong with Bangladesh? Because Bangladesh people cannot afford it. I said, well, I'll make it affordable. Just leave it to me. I'll find a way to make it affordable. They were completely against it. So it will not work in Bangladesh. So I tried to find out how it is done. I figured it out, one idea, how to try it out. At least I can try. It may work, may not work. So I created a company called Gramin Energy to bring solar home system in the village. One solar panel with a battery so that you can store your electricity and use it at night. It's very difficult to convince people. They're not familiar with it. They said, oh, it's too much money, we can't do that. And who knows if it'll work or not. We never heard about it before. So even selling 4 or 5 solar home systems per month was such a struggle. But we didn't give up for months and months. And finally we made it 5 solar home systems per month. And then we see 5 to 10 solar home systems a month, 20 solar home systems per month. So we're very happy that it's expanding. 17 years have gone by since we created that company. Today, we sell more than 1,000 solar home systems per day. And so far, we have reached 1.5 million homes with solar energy in Bangladesh. And in the process, we became the largest off-grid solar system in the whole world. Very simple thing. And we did it in a business way, but not for making money for myself. To make sure you recycle the money so that you are not dependent on somebody's money as a gift and give you charity and then you distribute free solar home system. Then it doesn't work. You need lots of money to do that. You do it in a sustainable way, business way, your money comes back. So you can reuse this money again and again. So this became another kind of business that I'm talking about, business to solve problems. Another one we did is a nursing college. Bangladesh needs lots of nurses. We have a very strange ratio between doctors and nurses. We have 3 doctors per nurse. So that's our situation. And there are people sitting around not doing any job. I said, why don't you train them up and make nurses, and it solves the problem. They have a good job and good service, and the health service is improved, but nobody does anything. So I said, why don't I create a nursing college? So in collaboration with the Glasgow Caledonian University in Glasgow, we created a small nursing college to begin with. And now that nursing college is functioning, we wanted to make it a social business so that the cost of this is recovered, and it's plowed back again to do that. And it becomes a social business. So today we train the young girls from Grameen Bank families, because they are from illiterate, they are totally illiterate families. So we encourage the children to go to school as a part of Grameen Bank work. We give them education loan, they can go to the higher education. So thousands of these kids go for higher education with Grameen Bank education loans. And some of them are here in Dublin today to attend the One Young World conference. So this is something, we took those girls from nursing college, train them up, they become professional nurses, get immediate very good salary. Internationally, there are demands for nearly 100,000 nurses position vacant, because there's not enough nurses available. So not only these nurses can work for Bangladesh, they can work anywhere in the world. They are world-class nurses. So we solved the problem of the young girls finding good job opportunity at the same time. It covers the cost. Many of these things that we have done over years as a social business are usually done as a charity, a philanthropic organization, to the healthcare, to the education, to the vocational training so that they can find jobs and things like that. What we have done, we changed that paradigm from a charity to social business. Charity is a wonderful idea to help people, but one problem and limitation of charity is charity money goes out, does the work, but it doesn't come back. So you have only one-time use of your charity money. I said, if you can make this into a social business idea, then money goes out, does the work, and comes back. So you can reuse the money again and again. You don't have to depend on fundraising all the time, because in charity you're always busy fundraising, because what you have done this year, in order to repeat this next year, you need the same bunch of money to do it next year, because that money is gone. But if it's a social business, your money comes back and you start the year again with the same money. And in social business, investor gets his money back. So you don't have to give it away. Your money will come back. But still you have a company running and it creates more profit. Profit is plowed back into the company because you don't want to take the money out. So that's how we define the idea of social business, a non-dividend company to solve human problems. Once you take out your money off the idea of personal money making, lots of things can be done in a very powerful way. It's all creativity of human beings which makes it all happen. No matter how big the problem is, you can solve it by bringing your creative power and the power of the business idea to make sure that it's done, provided you are not personally oriented towards gaining from that. That's the only thing which is limiting ourselves.
Brilliant to hear you talk about social business, because we're very reliant on the charity model and fundraising. And it's great to see that every year we have people thinking a little bit more along those lines, but do you believe, I do in some way, but I'm not sure how, but do you believe every organisation that is working in some kind of social capacity can be a social business? Because some of the people we work with still feel that the kind of work they do is not suitable for a social business model. It will cheapen what they do. They're frightened of how to approach it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, nothing to be scared about. I'm not saying that you close down your business that we have. All I'm saying you can do is tiny little social business on the side. Like take 5 young unemployed person out of unemployment by creating a business. It's not a mega business where to employ 5 unemployed people into a business is a very tiny little business. You can create that business in a way they have comfortable job for themselves and you get your money back. Only thing, you don't want to make money out of it, so you created it for the sake of getting these 5 unemployed people out of unemployment. So that's your social business right there. You solve the problem of 5 people. Then you have inspired other people. If you do that, your friend said, oh, I can do better than that. I can take 10 people out of unemployment. Look at me, what I do. So that's the spirit. Once you start, it becomes viral. It happens. In the process, you experience new things, new ideas coming. You did it very simple, open a little shop for them. Somebody said, no, I'm technology-based, because these are technology-savvy young people. I have created a technology-oriented company, and they beautiful work for many people in the process. And it has own strength of expanding itself, because profit comes into the business. After you have taken back your money, it rolls into the business. So you can expand from 5 to 6 unemployed people, 7 unemployed people. And that becomes a seed of an idea. That seed now can be planted in many, many places. So it's not very scary thing once you just come to that tiny little idea. That tiny little idea has the tremendous power.
Relates to the reality of the consolidation capital and associated poverty. The numbers no doubt show that. We know that the numbers for the last 30 years show the tremendous consolidation of wealth among the minority of the population. That data I don't forget, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I know it's shocking in terms of what's happened in the past 30 years. There's no doubt that banks and wealth creation and wealth systems are a big part of that. The second comment is about how we handle unemployment. And I suspect the question, if I understood it correctly, was around, is social welfare in a sense, is it creating a poverty trap? Is there some relationship there between the provision of social welfare and the reality of unemployment? And the last question, I think, is a neater question to answer is, who inspired you? And I'll pass it to both of you to answer in your own way.
Right, now you go first. Go on.
Thank you. On the first part, inequality, it's built into the system. No matter what you do, you can't get out of it. But the system, in a way, to give you kind of an image, it's a sucking machine. It sucks from the bottom. It's a huge base at bottom. It keeps sucking the juice, and juice is transported to the top. And if you are at a higher level, you have more power to suck than the one lower. Each level gives you more power to suck because our institutions are arranged that way. So if you're at the top, you have the most sucking power. And as a result, you have a very thin top, wide base. And that's what we call the system today. No matter what you tinker here, tinker there, you cannot stop it. It's ugly statistics will keep emerging. Like one statistics that float around, 15 people in the world today have more wealth than the bottom half of the people put together. Just 15 people. What will happen next? Will this 15 people will become 30 people? No. 15 people will become 10 people will have more wealth than the bottom half of the people. You cannot change that. So this is a one-way sucking procedure. I'm not saying these are bad people. Please don't misinterpret me. The machine is wrong. People are good people, given to run a machine which is designed very wrong way. So that's where I'm saying this is a selfishness-based machine. So if you can create a counter machine which is selflessness created based machine, which is creates a counter system, so that you use this money to change problems, solve problems. And it is not something of an imposition. It's not something that church's priest is telling you to do that. You do it because it's inside of you. You take pleasure in it. You take more pleasure when you see you have helped in changing the world than making stacks of money you don't know what to do with it. Now when Warren Buffett and Bill Gates are saying that the giving pledge you make, leave half of your wealth at the time of death to somebody else as a charity. You don't know what to do with your money. You just say, okay, give half away. But you have a purpose. The first thing, most important thing for that, I feel, is my own feeling. Our education system is at fault. Our education system is teaching our young people all the beautiful things with the geography, about the history, about the chemistry, and the physics, beautiful, everything. But never tell them to find out who you are. Unless you know who you are, what is the mission of your life, what you want to do. You go ahead and do everything you want because nobody told you what you're supposed to do, or you never had a chance to discuss your friends, your cohorts. What am I doing and what you are doing? We'll be here for a short time, very small time. And within that, we have to figure out what we need to do and get it done. So that when we leave this world, we know we have done something that we wanted to do. And you have that capacity inside of you. That is never discussed. And that's a very essential thing about education. What is the purpose of life? Whatever you want to define it, it's yours. But that discussion has to take place. Not just give you all this. Now the education system has become a kind of labor-producing factory. You produce it so that you can go and fit into the slot of the machine of the big companies, big factories, big things, and you start at the bottom into that slot of that. That's not a human life. That's, as I said, the robot-like life. Human life is a creative life. Human life has a mission in life. That mission, you define yourself. You define who you are and make it happen. That definition part doesn't come into it. So that's one first question about the inequality. You cannot stop it under the present system. That's simple and clear. You have to reinvent a system which produces the counterflow. Without that counter flow, no matter what you do, it continues. And it comes to the state charity. Because you have no other way, state says, okay, we'll take care of you. That's fine. It's one important thing. People in distress should be taken care of by the society, which is done. There's no question about it. We support that. But there is a second part to that story. The second part is the responsibility of the society now to create opportunities for the person who is now in a state charity to take him out. Because you put him in a situation in the beginning which was a generosity, which is a help, and ultimately it becomes a punishment. In the punishment, in the way you are taking away all the human qualities of that person, it becomes a numb person, incapacitated person. He becomes a prisoner of the system. He cannot come out. Even all the legal arrangement for this state charity is amazing. We work in the United States and we amazed every single day. When we try to take a welfare person out of welfare law come rushing in. No, you cannot do that. You cannot take him out. The law says if she has earned $1 by her own efforts, she has to report to the welfare authority. And welfare authority will deduct that dollar from her check. I said, what kind of law is that? You want her to stay there? If I was designing that law, I would require her to report to the welfare authority and make the welfare authority match her with another dollar. Because you encourage her so that she can get out. Now you punish her for making efforts to get out. And then if you say, okay, I don't need your welfare, I'll be free, I can now take a Grameen Bank loan or do whatever I want to take care of myself. And the welfare law in the United States says, then you have to surrender your health benefits. Surrendering health benefits in the USA is like a death sentence. You don't want to dare that, so no, it's okay, I'll stay here. I don't want to lose my... Now we are negotiating with the welfare authority, with the legislature, say, give them a bridging time, 5 years time or so that she can try for 5 years, still enjoy the health facility. After 5 years, you can say whether you want to come back or you want to get out permanently, losing your health benefits and everything else. In the meantime, we can create social business health facility for the people who are freshly coming out of welfare system, so that they don't have to look back and go back again. Because we can create those things, it is within our power. Actually, we have launched a healthcare program in New York City. Amazing thing, a Bangladeshi guy coming to New York City to start a healthcare program for the poor people in New York City. It's an amazing system. We just don't care. That's like that. Even after Obamacare, there are more than 23 million people who are not covered under the Obamacare. So what happens to them? Obamacare has come halfway, but it's still halfway left. So this is another one. So my thing is, we can take these welfare people, if you are serious, create social business, like I said about unemployment, how to take 5 welfare people out of welfare by creating some opportunity for them to be full human beings, full citizens. I have met many families in Europe who are in 4th generation unemployment, 5th generation unemployment. They never seen employment in the 4 previous generations because they are on welfare. Now you try with them, they don't even know what the work is. Forgot. Because in the system, they're squeezed out from everything, the human quality. Human quality is to become a go-getter. That's a basic human quality. You have squeezed out all those go-getter ability in a person who is in a 5th generation or a 4th generation unemployed situation, because the state is taking care of you. The state is not taking care of you. The state has imprisoned you. We need a freedom out of that. And that's something that we have the ability to do that. If we didn't have the ability, we cannot accept it. But today we know we have the ability to take them out. And about the last thing about the influence, well, as you work every day, little thing you try to do, is the people that you're working with is the one who really influences you, changes their mind. The biggest smile in their face suddenly puts you in the 7th heaven, that you've done something which touched one person's life. And that inspires you to do one more thing. That's why I say making money is a happiness, making people happy is a super happiness. That's why I see it every day. It makes you enormously happy when you do things which makes sense to other people's life. Thank you.